The day is almost here. It is almost opening day, and it is episode 4 of the 206 Curve podcast. As always, I'm your host, Carson, along with Avery. Avery, how we doing?
I'm doing fantastic. The Cal Raleigh news really, really made this day a whole lot better.
Absolutely. My mental health skyrocketed. So let's just get right into it. Cal Raleigh, middle of the day. No, tried an emoji posted. You're thinking, what's going on? Well, Passon beat the Mariners social to it. They announced that the Mariners have extended catcher Cal Raleigh for 6 years, $105 million. It's backloaded and it's buying him out of his arbitration years and his first 3 years of free agency. So he's making 1 million this year, but he has a $10 million signing bonus. So it's basically like 11 million this year, 11 million next year, 12 million the year after. And then it goes 23, 23, and then a vesting player option for 20 million with a $2 million buyout. So instant reaction, how are we feeling about it?
Fantastic. Finally, money has been spent. I don't
Well
care
spent.
if it's on our own guys. We've been demanding extensions for someone at some point, and finally it was Cal Raleigh. Makes a whole lot of sense. The Harry Ford stock might be taking a dip after that, but
As a catcher,
such a
yeah.
good deal. It's such a good contract. Backloaded is always good. I learned in my sports finance class that, you know, for a backloaded or money later is better for the team than
For
it is the
sure.
player.
Right.
So sorry about that for Cal, but this is great for an organization that doesn't like to spend money at all. This
Right.
is a perfect contract.
I think it is ironically on brand for the Mariners. Cal Raleigh is a homegrown player. He's voiced, that he wants to be a leader of this team, and I think that when you pay the money, when you show your homegrown players the money, it's just a better feel. It always is exciting to go out and get a guy like Max Fried, Juan Soto, Shohei, and win that sweepstakes. But it's also exciting just to know that the players that you watched grow up, grow into the role that they're in now it's a little bit rewarding that way. And the way that I view the Cal Raleigh extension is it is very team friendly, but it also gives Cal credit where credit's due. I mean, arbitration, they could go and they could circle a number. He just came off a 30 and 100 season. And he could his market value could skyrocket. As catchers, it's a little touch and go. Will Smith got kind of a similar contract to this when he was extended. But obviously that's the Dodgers checkbook. But I think the Mariners wanted to set his price and reward him, especially his first 3 years of free agency. I think he's worth 105 million. I do expect that he will be batting cleanup or fifth or third, fourth, or fifth for the next 6 years for the Mariners. I think he has all the intangibles. He's a great defender, Platinum Glove Award winner last year. And as much as I hate to say it, this contract is very tradable as well. If there comes the time where Cal, is wanting to move, or we have to move off Cal, or whatever, it's really not that tough of a contract to move off of. He does have a no trade clause, but that's just the pessimist in me thinking, what I think about when I look at every contract. But great money well spent. I honestly, my last thought about it is it's hopefully a domino effect of maybe how we can approach a potential Logan extension or a Kirby extension because they're going to be next up. We already have everybody else kind of either cheap or under wraps. So yeah, very, very exciting.
Yeah, this should really give a boost to the locker room, that clubhouse.
Yeah, for sure.
I know, yeah, like you said, we didn't add anybody, but it's just it just showed the players that the franchise, the organization is willing to invest somewhat.
Right,
So, and they can only be happy. This can only make everyone happy. So,
right.
it's a great little footnote on the end of the spring, at the end of this spring training going into the season.
Right, absolutely. I mean, what a way to get hyped for, opening day. We're 2 days away. That being said, when money is in, there's also money out. The Mariners last weekend released outfielder Mitch Haniger after kind of battling with a poor spring and some injuries. Again, injuries definitely took a season or two out of his career. But he was released. He will not be on the Mariners, which is just kind of crazy to think about. Didn't even know that this could be a possibility. The Mariners are eating 15.5 million for him just to not play for them. So that's a little bummer considering the budgetary constraints that we were on. But I mean, Avery, I know that you didn't really see him on the roster. I didn't really either, but I thought I had to make it happen because of his price tag. But what is your gut feeling about releasing Mitch Haniger?
I mean, it's bittersweet. I was a little harsh on him throughout the first few episodes just because I was under the impression that he'd just be on the team for basically the whole year.
Right.
I didn't really see them doing anything to that would make it so he's not on the team, but it's nice to see like a roster spot is now open for, a player that's playing well, who hopefully has his best years ahead of him. But it's Mitch. Like the what he did for us for that, 5 year stretch or so.
Sure.
It was unbelievable. It was like mini Ring of Honor kind of stuff,
Right.
We
Yeah.
did.
Eh,
I mean, some of the moments that he was able to give us,
yes,
like that, like I mentioned, the game 161 before, like truly hero Mariners like legend kind of things
for
going on
sure.
there. So love it. Hate it for my dad. He's got his jersey, but
Damn. Well, and I want to do point out about Mitch Haniger is you can't talk about the end of the core of Cano and Cruz without talking about Mitch Haniger and how he started off in 2019 that trade with Gene Segura, and then all last thing he had a little crazy season in San Fran when he just left in free agency. But I mean he was here through the tough times. I mean when the Mariners were literally printing just basic tickets with no players on them because they didn't have any players. That is a verified story. I was working that year for the Mariners that year, and they're like, we don't know who's going to be sticking around. Jerry told Mitch, Marco, and Edwin that they were all safe, and then a week later, Edwin Diaz was gone. But no,
all
Mitch
three of those guys got traded.
exactly. Mitch walked, but he was reacquired.
Oh,
Um,
right, right, right.
but I mean 2019, 2020, 2021, he's hitting third or fourth in our lineup. He's consistently hitting clutch home runs and just clutch hits. He was a great influence in the clubhouse. And unfortunately, his clubhouse influence doesn't really vibe with this new group as much as people think it would. You got other voices like Cal, and you did have like Carlos Santana and things like that. So he just wasn't really a consistent voice. I think it was due to like the break of him not being here for a year. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, but I wish him the absolute best. His time in Seattle is well regarded. It's not a good riddance type of, release or anything like that. I wish him the absolute best. I hope he gets healthy this year and maybe we see him on a different team. I don't know if this is it for Mitch Haniger. I think that he could really slide into a DH role whenever he's healthy.
Yeah, that'd
But
be great.
yeah, no, I absolutely.
There's
Um,
some really bad teams out there. I mean, I know the Mariners have one of the worst offenses, but there's other horrible offenses that could
right.
use some veteran leadership. Go to the White Sox or something.
For sure. Well, I don't know if I want to do that to him. Last but not least in the recent news, Matt Brash. Just all of a sudden, Michael Jordan, I'm back pitching
Let's
in
go.
the last game of spring training. He pitched a solid inning, one walk, two Ks, over 16 pitches. He looked great, and it looks like he's on track to start the season on the opening day roster. That is nuts.
It's unbelievable. I can't wrap my head around it. He's my favorite pitcher. Um, him and George Kirby are like 1A and 1B. I love those guys. Matt Brash is just an electric factory. Like he's sick. Like I was a little sad that he wasn't a starter for more than a month or however long, but gosh, he might be the best. Honestly, his ceiling is best reliever in baseball kind of stuff.
Whoa, that's a bold claim. But yeah, I mean, when I saw Legamine get optioned and we were just talking about it in our last episode, we're like, well, he's the freaking guy. Well, it turns out no. I mean, he's going to be making Matt Brash is going to be making the team, and it's absolutely nuts. Now, will we see him in the eighth inning on Thursday? Probably not. They're going to probably ease him into it. There's plenty of guys who have earned that honor of probably pitching leverage before he's comfortable, but I'm sure Matt Brash is going to slide right back into that leverage role. But at least he gets to pitch and rehab with the team, and he was really effective in that game. Also in that game, I mean, you had Julio grand slam, Cal Raleigh two homers, and a Randy double all in one game. So that's absolutely
The
ridiculous.
vibes.
Good vibes. Middle of the order is hitting well. Polanco, he hit a homer. Everybody's vibing. I cannot believe the last game of the spring training was 3 days before opening day. I'm like, stop. I don't want anybody to get hurt. No, just I don't care about the 4ABs. Let's go home. Let's get comfortable.
I feel
So
like
yeah,
that's like normal now. I don't know what it used to be like, but I remember back, I don't know, like 10 years ago, maybe more, like they would play like an exhibition series before regular season in the ballparks. I mean, I think there's a team that did that already
right.
this year. It's weird to me, but
Yeah.
I guess kind of get your stamina up and then just go straight into the season.
Yeah, I guess so. I just stay hot. But with that being said, opening day is 2 days away. At the time of recording, this will probably come out one day or on opening day. But before you have a chance to watch the Mariners face off with the Athletics, let us give you a preview or a profile of all of our opponents in the division. And then we're going to go through league projections and just some league leaders, stuff like that, awards, and things like that. So let's go ahead, Avery, give us your notes for the defending American League West champions, the Houston Astros.
They are a different team this year, I suppose you could say.
Absolutely.
A lot of yeah, a lot of pluses to the roster, a lot of minuses to the roster. I could go through a couple of these, the more significant moves that they've made. Um, I mean, they added Brendan Rodgers, agreed to a minor league contract. I don't know if he'll necessarily be a huge factor this
Right.
year. I've always kind of liked Brendan Rodgers. He was linked to the Mariners
Mhm.
before, but hasn't really been great so far. He's 28, but he's in. Let's see, Christian Walker, big, like probably their biggest addition. Um, first baseman, like another guy that the Mariners were linked to.
Mhm.
Didn't know that the Astros were really in on him until he
Absolutely
went
not.
there.
Yeah.
Just uh just a big smack in the face to the Mariners, of course, but he's great. He's always been really good. He'll lock it down at first base for him and be a really good right-handed hitter to complement Jordan. So that's awesome for them.
I mean, the
Um,
Astros are still paying Jose Abreu to play first base, and he's not even with the organization. So, I mean,
yeah.
I hate to just throw that in their face, but I mean, Christian Walker, they got him for $20 million a year, but they're paying Jose Abreu the same amount of money, and he's not even on the team. So, just saying. Um, but yeah,
hmm and then let's see. Oh yeah, Isak Paredes. Forgot to mention him. He should have been like the first name I mentioned.
I know. I was
Uh,
gonna mention. I was like, you gonna say something about that?
Yeah, another guy that the Mariners were linked to. I can't. It's like they're using us as a cheat sheet or something. It's insane. He should slot in like two in the order. Christian Walker should be around the four spot, but Brady's is just a really good baseball player. I really liked that the Cubs picked him up last trade deadline, and then quickly we're like, nah,
He didn't
we're
hit well
gonna.
in Wrigley. That I mean,
That's true.
he's a great hitter. Doesn't hit well in Wrigley. Hits well at the Trop. Well, no, there's no more Trop, but he's gonna hit well in those Crawford boxes, and he's gonna put up 20 homers at home for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. He's gonna bang some balls there in Houston, but. He was acquired because they decided to trade away one of the best players in baseball, Kyle Tucker. They just didn't want to pay him the money, I guess. I know he was hurt last year. He got hurt last year, but in the time that he played, he was probably like a front runner for MVP. Like he was an he is an elite baseball player, and I'm so happy that he's going to be in the Cub pinstripes because I can finally just be happy whenever he does
Right.
well because I've
For
always kind
sure.
of liked him as a player,
For sure.
but couldn't really be excited when the Astros put up another run. So,
Right.
uh, happy that he's out of the division. Makes their lineup weaker, even though they did add Walker and Paredes, um,
And losing
but
Bregman.
yeah, and losing Bregman, another really good player. Another player that I kind of wanted the Mariners to go after. You didn't really, but good player is a good player. Boston got a good one. Glad he's out of the division as well. Um,
Right.
and that really kind of messes up their roster, their starting lineup. Like you get rid of Bregman and you can slot in Paredes pretty easily. That's fine. But you you lose Kyle Tucker. You need somebody to play in the outfield, and they I guess they decided, hey, we're gonna put Jose Altuve in the
That's
outfield, where
nuts.
he's gonna be not even Jordan. We're gonna put in Jose Altuve. I'm sure Jordan might play a little bit of left field still in Houston, but uh, it's left field has been an awful time for Jose this spring training. He's been making some horrendous plays out there that you wouldn't expect a major leaguer to play. I know he's never played outfield at the major league level before,
Right.
but like, come on, it's not that hard to
I
catch a
feel
fly
like he'll
ball.
get
At
there
least
though.
I don't think
He'll get there.
he'll be fine. I mean, if they're comfortable sticking Yordan in left field with the Crawford boxes, I'm sure Jose Altuve will just be better than him. He's
Mhm.
at least more athletic, but his arm probably isn't nearly as good as Jordan's, but that's whatever. But yeah, their lineup, it's fine. It's gonna be good. It's not gonna be great. Like they have Cam Smith, another prospect they got
Right.
in that Kyle Tucker trade.
Right.
He he's making the roster. He's making the opening day roster. He'll probably be an opening day starter.
For
Uh,
sure.
Fangraphs has him slotted in a right field. He's got a lot
Right
of power in
field?
him. That's what it says. I don't know where
That's
else.
nuts. Then why is Jose playing left field?
Because he can't play. Because I'd imagine Cam Smith is a better outfielder than Altuve,
But why is
and
Altuve playing left and he's in right? Who's playing second? That's my question.
Mauricio Dubon maybe.
That's crazy.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. That's just nuts.
Brendan Rodgers. Um, I mean, they have some stuff to figure out. Fangraphs has Dubon as their second baseman. I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will get some looks. If it's truly a horrible experience for Altuve in left, then they'll
Those.
probably bring him back.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the reverse Mookie Betts situation, where it's like, no, just keep the guy in the position that he's best at. Like
Right.
this isn't that hard. He's a proven elite player, but
Right.
that's what they decided to do, and it should only help the rest of the division out. So that's good news for us. But back to Cam Smith. Yeah, we got him. They got him in that Kyle Tucker trade. He's got a lot of power from the right side of the plate, but he doesn't elevate the ball too much. So if he can figure out how to elevate the ball, especially in Houston, look out. He might have a stellar rookie season, and I would hate for that to happen. But he is an exciting young player, and the Astros don't really have that many exciting young players. Once the front office kind of got turned out after the cheating scandal came out, they have been slowly kind of going downhill.
Right.
The whoever is running it now, they they don't seem to be making the best or smartest decisions. Um, the most exciting guy on their prospect list right now might be Zach DeCenzo,
Hmm.
who I'm a fan of, but I believe he's another outfielder. So he could play this year. I imagine he will end up coming out onto the big league club at some point this year. Um, hopefully, if you're an Astros fan, you would hope that he just replaces Altuve in the outfield and they just slide him back to second base. Because I
Yeah.
don't really see Dubon or Brendan Rodgers really doing anything at second base that would really make it worth keeping Altuve in left field. So
Well, yeah, and it was
that's that.
shocking. It was shocking to me that they traded Drew Gilbert. I mean, he was in line to play center field for the Astros, and now they're just kind of piecing it together with Chas McCormick and things. They really just
Jake
haven't.
Myers.
Well, yeah, Jake Myers, that's true, but I mean, I just feel like they have a lot of holes, and I every year I say this is the year the Astros are done. I've been saying the past 3 years. Well, it turns out, I mean, the Astros just know how to win games. They know when their back's against the wall. They started off last season 12 and 20. They ended up winning the division and stealing it from the Mariners, so they just know how to win games. I guess before we shift teams, what do you have in regards to their pitching? How do you feel about their rotation, bullpen, anything like that?
It should be good. They've always figured out, granted, again, new front office or newer front office, but they've always kind of figured out a solid bullpen. I mean, when it's headlined by Josh Hader, Brian Abreu, like you're gonna be pretty good, I think, at
Right.
least at the back end.
Hmm.
And bullpen in general is just like hitter. It's from season to season, it could be the best or the worst.
For sure.
So analyzing it, I only really care about like the back end names. For the rotation, it's good. It's a very solid rotation. Framber, Hunter Brown, Ronel Blanco, big big arms there that they will need to rely on because, like I said, the farm system is not that deep. So they're going to need to stay healthy, and they're going to need the guys that are on the 26-man roster on opening day to produce at a decent level.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, so they're going to need to rely on their top five of their order. I think if they're going to have a good year this year. But like last year, they struggled a lot, and then they figured it out the last couple months of the season and ended up winning the whole thing. So yeah, you just can't count them out. They're going to be a good team, but I don't really see them being all that great this year.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I definitely think that Houston has the opportunity to regress, but who knows? Their roster reconstruction could lead to just continued success in the AL West. All right, so let's go a little north in the division and geographically. We're going to talk about the Texas Rangers. And if you remember, if you're a baseball fan more than last year, they were the World Series champions 2 years ago. Their manager, Bruce Bochy, is notably notorious for winning World Series in odd years. He'll win a World Series, they won't do as well, and then they'll win a World Series again. He did it with the Giants twice. People are saying, well, the healthy Rangers could do that again, and I could argue they could and they couldn't. Just looking at their lineup, I mean, they're really top heavy with Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Wyatt Langford. They do kind of piece together the heart of the order right there with Jock Peterson and Adolis Garcia, along with Josh Young, I think it is. So, I mean, and then rounding out the lineup with guys like Leody Taveras, Jake Berger, and Jonah Heim. I mean, these guys were in the World Series lineup for the most part. You take or leave a couple. Their bench has Kyle Higashioka, Ezekiel Duran, and Josh Smith, who everyone was really high on. Josh Smith, he had a great start to last year. And the idea behind the Rangers is that oh, healthy, we're going to contribute. And I mean, you can say that, in hindsight and retrospect, you can say that they can compete for the AL West crown. I'm kind of sheepish on saying that, they could win the division and make a run again due to a couple different factors because you have to factor in, Marcus Semien, he's getting up there in age. He's 34 years old and he might be on the tail end of his productivity. Now, he's a great player. He's one of the best leadoff hitters in the American League, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to carry the team offensively like he did 2 years ago. That being said, you could say the same thing about Corey Seager. He's 31 years old. But these guys are really like solid players in their lineup. Evan Carter not making the team is a little shocking to me, getting that news. He didn't have a good spring. But I think the rationale is they have a solution right there for now with Leody Taveras, at least his speed, defense, and versatility. I think Evan just needs a little more at bats at the AAA level to warm up. I mean, I saw him down in Arkansas before he was called up. He was big in their World Series run, so he'll be back in this lineup at some point. But the glaring issue with the Texas Rangers is really their rotation. Their rotation right now, projected Fangraphs, is Nathan Eovaldi getting the ball ball on opening day, which he is. Then you have Jack Leiter, Tyler Molly, Jacob DeGrom, of course, and then Kumar Rocker. So let's start with Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker. Okay, those are two guys. When they drafted him, I did an audible gulp and gasp. I was like, how in the world did they get Vanderbilt's top two arms in the World Series, in the College World Series? That being said, they've been kind of plagued with some injury issues. They've been hit around in the major league and minor league level. So when when you think about how they're going to contribute to a full season of the majors, you're kind of skeptical. But you could say that about the Mariners' arms as well as they've gone up and down. So I think there's a lot of upside with them compared to the rest of their rotation. Nathan Eovaldi, 35, Tyler Mahle, 30, and then obviously Jacob DeGrom, almost 37. Jacob DeGrom coming off of a season-ending injury. Eovaldi, I know that he can contribute as an ace, but who's to say he's going to be one of the top pitching arms? I know he was when they were winning, when they were competing for the American League. Tyler Mahle, though, is also coming off an injury, so you're not really sure how he can contribute. Excuse me. I think that he's a serviceable guy in the middle of their rotation. And then the big question mark is Jacob DeGrom. You shell out the money to go get him to be an ace, and he had Tommy John last year. It was kind of devastating for them. And a lot of people are saying he's going to be a reliever of some sort, and I just think that's kind of interesting. I mean, if you want
A
to put him on a
reliever.
yeah, I know there's people saying that.
I mean, it makes sense with the injury, but it doesn't make sense with who else they have. Like,
Exactly.
I like all the five names. It's a very fun rotation. If I wasn't a Mariner fan, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I would love to watch the Rangers play baseball because their lineup is really fun and their pitching, at least the names, are very exciting. But uh, like, they're not going to throw that many innings. They're getting older, they're regressing, and the young guys haven't been very good at all. So
Right.
what happens if DeGrom gets hurt again, or if one or two of those young guys they don't like? Who's gonna come up and f fill in the roster,
Well,
the rotation?
I think at some point you have to have that conversation with DeGrom about, okay, you're gonna start the season on a pitch count, right? You're gonna pitch maybe 5 innings to start, and you got guys in their bullpen, like I think it's Garrison Gabarito and Sean Armstrong. Those guys are experienced in the long relief. I know Sean Armstrong from personal experience as a former Mariner. But so they have the ability to really stretch the game and kind of ease it off of him. Maybe they go to a six-man rotation, but like you said, who? There's plenty of starting pitchers out there.
I
Um,
mean, they got Patrick Corbin on their roster, not on their 26th man, but they got him at least. So
Right. No, yeah, that is a big addition because he can slot in right there, or he could just pitch out of the pen as well. So yeah, I mean, my analysis of the Rangers, and it's a little bit shorter, more condensed than yours, analysis of the Astros, but there's a lot to cover with Houston. Um, is you can easily say the Texas Rangers healthy, we're going to dominate, we're going to be right there. You can also say, listen, it's just not going to click anymore. These guys are going to regress. There's going to be injuries. The young guys might not contribute the way they were going to on paper. But I mean, I'm optimistic. If I'm a Rangers fan, I'm optimistic. I think you have to go into it saying healthy is always good. They're missing they're missing the piece that was Mitch Garver in their lineup, but I think they're going to do just fine without him. I can definitely see them giving the Mariners absolutely hell out of any of the teams
hmm
we're going to talk about in the division. I feel like Texas is going to give the Mariners hell just because the way they match up. We're going to be able
hmm
to hit their pitching, but they're going to be able to hit ours as well. So I think we're going to have some shootouts with Texas. We have always the past couple of years. So they're going to be a thorn in our side, and it's not going to be a team you want to write off. But
yeah,
that's all I got
they're
for
gonna
the
be a fun
Rangers.
team to watch. They're gonna be a really fun team to watch. Did you mention that they added Jock Peterson?
Yes, I did. Yes, and my
Okay.
last note, I guess, about the Rangers, my last note is Adolis Garcia and Jock Peterson are two guys that they hit nukes, right? But they're not going to hit for
Yeah.
okay. They have some injury concern. They're really just kind of slotted into that position. I mean, Adolis really, I mean, he's got the arm for right field, but he really should be transitioning to DH. Adolis and Randy Rosarena kind of have the same progression arc. It's like oh, we know you hit nukes. We know you're athletic in the outfield, but we've kind of seen you take a step back. Is this it for you, or is this just a down year? So,
Yeah, I'm interested to see the Adolis Garcia Jock Peterson dynamic,
right.
because they're not. Adolis used to be very athletic. He's not as much anymore. Jock Peterson never has been that athletic, but you
Yeah.
mentioned you besmirched my guy Jock Peterson by saying he's not going to hit for average. He hit 275 last year in Arizona, and he hit 274 in 2022 with San Francisco. He 2023 was kind of weird year for him, but last year he was like legitimately one of the best bats in baseball. Like I've always loved him. I've always wanted the Mariners to have him, but it hasn't worked out.
Of course. Of course. All right, you're up. Who you got?
The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. This won't be as long as Houston, but if I wasn't a Mariner fan, I think my go-to team would be the Angels. They
So
they are
ridiculous, man.
they are so fun if you really like baseball. Okay, like some of the guys that they added this year, they went out firing as soon as the season ended. They were like, "Bring us all the players, all the mediocre to slightly good players. You're coming to LA as soon as the final pitch has been thrown." They brought in Jorge Soler in a trade out of nowhere. Why they traded for Jorge Soler, I don't know. I don't know what they're gaining, and other than like they're gonna like they
What
like
about the
you're
deadline?
gonna trade, you're gonna yeah
Yeah.
flip them, I guess. They brought in Tim Anderson. Yeah, he's fun. He's interesting at
Yeah.
least. So
Always a guy
they're
I wanted to be a Mariner, though. I mean, I'm shaking my head, but he is always a guy I've wanted to be a Mariner. So that I'm just gonna
his
say that
strikeout his strikeout numbers are starting to rise a little bit, and he's never walked once in his life, I don't think, but he puts bat on ball when he swings.
for sure.
Um, Kevin Newman might be projected to be a starter. They brought in Nicky Lopez, Travis d'Arnaud, for their lineup.
Just
Like
random
they're
ass players, man.
mediocre players, but you know I've always liked Nicky Lopez. I've always liked Travis d'Arnaud. I don't have any opinions on Kevin Newman, but
Now, do you think
to
this is
add,
due? You think this is due to their farm system being so bad? Because I mean,
yeah,
they drafted Christian Moore, and I don't mean to leak into your analysis, but they drafted Christian Moore, who's almost MLB ready. They have Nolan Shonowell, who like they gave 60 at bats in low A, and they're like, "You're ready for Major League Baseball." So I think like this is an interesting strategy to piece literally every hole you have with someone who's just like, on a bench and a competing team. So it's interesting, but continue.
yeah, they're very aggressive with their prospects, which is part of the reason why their farm system always looks so bad because they're all the prospects end up just playing at the major league level anyway. But yeah, Christian Moore, he's gonna get called up pretty soon. I'm surprised he's not making the major league roster, regardless of how he played in spring training. But uh, I guess they just want to see they want to see Tim Anderson out there. I guess I don't know, but their
They'll be
lineup they have
serviceable.
some. Yeah. They'll have some interest. They have some good names: Taylor Ward, Nolan Schanuel, Mike Trout, Jorge Soler, Logan O'Hoppe as their top five. Like that's a pretty sick top five, regardless of who you are.
Mhm.
It's just the rest of the lineup. It's like, what are we doing with Tim Anderson, Luis Rengifo, Joe Adele, showing some promise, which is nice for him, and then
In
Kevin
year
Newman.
like 700.
Yeah, but it's interesting if nothing else, with what they're going to bring to the plate, and not to forget about Kyron Paris. People like him, but I don't know if he's going to be all that great. But their pitching staff, they brought in a couple new starters. Our old friend Yusei Kikuchi. Um, Forgot to include him. Houston. He walked from Houston last year.
Mhm.
He's now going to be their ace.
Crazy.
Interesting. It's fun.
I mean, well
He should be
deserved.
good. He's a good
He's put
pitcher.
in his time. He's put in his
He's a
time.
good pitcher. Like
Yeah,
the thing about the Angels is that they've never been able to figure out the right buttons to press when it comes to pitching at
right.
all. Doesn't matter who it is. So I hope he doesn't go there to die. But uh,
He might.
he seems to be someone different that they don't bring in guys like him. Like he's just like a guy that's going to give you a solid season, and they just need. five of those guys and Mike Trout to stay healthy, and then they'll be fine. But they also added in Kyle Hendricks. I've always liked Kyle Hendricks. He's just like the OG.
Right.
He's just back. Like he would slot it in perfectly in the 70s and 80s. Like he's a sick pitcher. But the rest of their rotation, like Jose Soriano, he's fine. Tyler Anderson, fine. Jack, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Kokonowicz,
Couldn't tell you.
whatever. Yeah,
He'll
I
throw a
don't know.
shutout against the
I don't know
Mariners.
where.
Name.
Yeah, I don't know where they find some of these guys, but yeah, and they brought in Kenley Jansen in the bullpen. That's pretty cool. I thought I don't know why he went there, other than I guess money,
He's washed.
but it's like it's just a guy to flip at the deadline.
Yep,
Um, and taking some pressure off of Ben Joyce, who everyone loves.
for sure.
Just a guy that throws straight heat. He's gonna be fun to watch too. So, and I forgot to mention because he got hurt. My my guy, Yon Moncada. He's got some thumb discomfort, but I think he's gonna be. He could be a team MVP this year. He's
Could be.
I uh,
That's
Tim
saying Mike
Anderson, Kevin
Trout
Newman
falls
got
off the
here.
face of the earth.
If it means, hey, I don't care. Yo Moncada is built different. He's so good. I wanted the Mariners to have him, to get him. He gets hurt. His short season was shortened last year, but yeah. I hope that he plays well this year. That would only make me happy. Other guys that are notable: Anthony Rendon, Sia, and Zach
Lame.
Neto. That's probably why they brought in Tim Anderson. But uh, Zach Neto and Yo Moncada, once they are able to be in the lineup every day, I think watch
Christian
this team
Moore.
take off.
Christian Moore is
And
going to get
Christian
some great at
Moore.
bats. He's going to get some great at bats in like May or
They
June.
got some things.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Angels got some fun things going on.
Still
So,
Seth. Still Seth. They're
I,
pitching. He's going to slot right in
mhm.
once one of them goes down or just sucks. Yeah, the Angels are finishing last. I hate to break it to you, but they're finishing
Wow.
last in the American League West.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Last but not least, the team that we are facing off against in the opening series, a four-game set versus the blank Athletics. They're playing in Sacramento. They're not trying to be called Sacramento. They got a Las Vegas thing on their patch, but they told everybody, we want to be called the Athletics this year. That's fine. Listen, they're embracing this relocation very, very well. I think they're building a core at the right time. So when they're in Vegas, they're going to be competing. We are seeing on the other side of the country the Rays just be absolutely pathetic being with at the Steinbrenner Fields as their temper. I mean, I understand their stadium got hit by a hurricane, but they also just canceled building a new stadium. They're like, we're going to recommit to the Trop. Just move, sell the team and move. Damn it. That's my Rays preview. They're not in our division, but the A's. I might say Oakland a couple times, and I apologize to anybody who would get triggered by that. I feel like I'm not going to be the only person, but the A's. The A's are very interesting because they decided randomly to start spending money. But like I said, they're building the core right after they left Oakland. They're getting it ready. They're getting the pieces together. Some of their contracts are regrettable. They gave Luis Severino an ace type contract, and I was like, he's pitching third or fourth in a competing team, so that was very interesting. They went out and extended Brent Rooker. Good idea. That's a good idea. They went out and extended Lawrence Butler. They gave him kind of a Cal Raleigh contract, but a little bit younger. Great idea. I love his stuff. Lawrence Butler is a unit. He's a right fielder for sure. Not by trade. He's got all the intangibles there. I'm just looking at a depth chart in this other window in Fangraphs, so I'm just going to go ahead and go by position, and we'll talk about the pitching as well. So obviously DH Brent Rooker, all star. He was very good hits for power, and he's very clutch. Behind the dish, you got Shane Langoliers. They're really trying to say that they got some value out of that Braves trade. I think he's good. He's just not going to live up to the potential of being Sean Murphy's replacement. Uh, and then you have the young guys. You have the young guns. You have Tyler Soderstrom. You have Jacob Wilson, and you have Zach Geloff, and you have Max Muncy. So Max Muncy and Zach Geloff are going to platoon
Max Muncy.
Max Muncy, not the Max Muncy that you're thinking of. The no relation at all. He's one of their top prospects. He did great. He broke camp with them. He's had a great spring. So he's going to platoon with Geloff, who Geloff's a great guy as well. And then you have Jacob Wilson playing shortstop. He might be rushed a little bit, but he had a great spring, especially against the Mariners. He had a couple clutch at bats in their spring training matchups. And then you just kind of also JJ Bleday, which is a reclamation project, and I like that. He's a former top prospect. He's going to be perusing center. But then you get to the freaking left side of this depth chart, and I'm like, oh my Lord. Miguel Andujar and Seth Brown platooning in left field when you have Esteury Ruiz, who I was very high on. He's going to be a pinch runner for Christ's sake. So yeah, you have Andujar and Seth Brown, disgusting. And then at third base, you have Gio Urshela, who played for the Angels. I mean, he played for the Tigers, whatever. He's been a guy consistently. He can hit sixth or seventh in any lineup you put him in. That's fine. He probably would be a good option for the Mariners if he was still available. And then you have former Mayor Luis Urias, who really struggled with playing time, some injury. He had some flashes where it's like, dang, you're having a good series, and then he falls right back down to earth. But he's getting a good opportunity to play, and I'm really happy for him because I think he deserves it, like his brother. But then it's like with those guys just anchoring your lineup, they're not going to be good. There's too many reclamation projects on here. JJ Bleday is going to work out, in my opinion, in center, but Miguel Andujar and Seth Brown, my Lord, man, get them off the team. You have plenty of other guys you could have gone out and gotten. But let's go ahead and turn it to their starting pitching. Their starting pitching is going to be headlined by Luis Severino. He's going to be serviceable. He's going to be an ace for what they need right now. He's an ace of that staff. I will say they're paying him to be. What is wild to me was that Oakland counter one that the Athletics were in on Max Fried. That is insane. They were runner-ups on Max Fried. What the hell? Um,
They're going for the division.
I well, hold on. So yeah, they have Luis Severino. They have JP Sears, former Mariner. He pitched well against Mariners, great lefty. And then they got like a guy like Jeffrey Springs from the Tampa Bay Rays, and like that's pretty cool.
Love, love
Very,
Jeff
very
Springs.
cool.
That's might be my favorite move any team made all offseason.
Yeah, and then it rounds out with Joey Estes, and I'm sorry, I don't know his name, his first name. It might be hard for me to pronounce, but they have Beto, who's a younger guy that they're high on as well. So I think their rotation is like, you know, could be good, could be bad. I could see a lot of them having records 500 or maybe just a little under that. Their bullpen is an absolute shit show. I have not heard of any of these guys besides Mason Miller, Jose Leclerc, and Jose Leclerc's going to be a fine setup man. Mason Miller, obviously an all-star. They're not going to trade him. They'll probably give him an extension this offseason, kind of like the Justin Martinez, Andres Munoz type deal. But holy cow. Yeah, their starters better shove because these guys are going to blow them some games. And I hate to be cynical with that, but that's how the A's are going to lose games. This offense, this lineup is going to put up a lot of runs, but they're going to give up a lot of runs. They have a great manager, Mark Kotze. Like I said, they're playing in a minor league park, so it might help. They might be able to kind of play that to their advantage, but other teams are going to reap the benefit as well. I don't want to say that the Athletics are going to finish fourth in the division. I don't want to pencil them in there because I think they're going to exceed expectations. I think that a lot of teams or a lot of people are kind of putting them as a sneaky playoff team if their cards aligned, and just kind of their strategy at the deadline. Because if you look at this team, and if they're looking good at the deadline, you have left field, third base. You could go out and just buy. You could go out and and buy. So you don't really know if they're going to be a fourth place team the entire year. They're going to start off the year as a fourth place team. I told my buddy Jacob, who we might see on the podcast later on in the year, but I told him that I would be happy splitting this series with the A's just because I feel like the hype is there opening day. But I would be very disappointed if we lost. I would kind of quietly be disappointed if we split as well. But that is the A's in a retrospective. So that is your
Mm.
divisional preview.
Watch for them to call up Nick Kurtz at some point this
Good.
year.
Very well could.
Smashes the ball. I don't know if he will get called up, but man, that'd be so sick if they called him up, man.
They don't really
I
need a
mean,
first baseman though, unless you try to teach Soderstrom how to play left field or third base. Soderstrom's a catcher by trade, so you got to figure
well,
out to
I
fit
don't
him in
know.
there as well.
Maybe because Nick Kurtz isn't he left-handed?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, maybe. I mean, Brent Rooker's too good, but that's to platoon. But you could maybe platoon
Toss
with
Brett Rooker out in left
somebody.
field, make him play left field. Damn it. That pisses me off seeing that terrible platoon. I already have to deal with platoons on the Mariners, but not my team. And guess what? I'm going to enjoy beating them when we do. But now I guess let's go ahead and shift toward our league projections. Before we do awards, we're going to go ahead and pick the division winners. And yeah, what happened to my sheet? My sheet just went blank. But go ahead, start us off, Abe.
I guess we'll start with the AL West for this segment. I guess we're gonna do each division winner, and we're gonna pick the World Series participants and the winner. And then we're also gonna on the back end we're gonna pick the each Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, and MVP. And we're gonna do a little friendly competition here. Um, some bragging rights, I suppose. Uh, I'm gonna throw out a point system.
Okay.
Feel free to hate it or love it.
Now you're in
Basically, you'll
charge of the
just
points.
well, you get a point for each division winner that you get right. It's just one
Okay.
point.
Okay.
You'll get 3 points for each team that you get right in the World Series,
Okay.
and then another 3 points on top of that if you pick the winner right.
Got it.
And then for the awards, you'll get a point if they got nominated for the award,
Okay.
and then you'll get 3 points if they win the award.
Got
How's
it.
that sound?
So you're gonna have to keep track of that. I'm leaving that up to you.
I will.
Okay.
Well, let's hopefully we remember to even go back to that at the end of the season. But
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking about that. Okay, we'll
that's
go
a big
ahead.
deal.
Let's
These
talk about
picks,
your league uh league leaders or
the
projected.
division winners. We'll start with the AL. We'll start with the AL West. I have your Seattle Mariners winning the division this year. The Divizzy is coming home, baby. This is just the offense is gonna be, I dare I say, it's gonna be good this year. I don't know in what fashion, but I just believe it in my heart that the offense is gonna be good. And maybe the pitching regresses a teensy bit, but the offense is going to be so much better than it was last year that it's going to make up for any regression that the pitching has, if it even has any. If it doesn't regress, we're going to win 95 games and we're gonna be like the 2 seed in the playoffs.
Wow.
That's what I'm
Bold.
saying.
Okay, who you got in the Central?
No, no, you do the AL West.
Okay,
We'll
AL
go back
West.
and
Okay,
forth.
for sure. Okay, we'll go back and forth. Cool. AL West, I'm going to repeat almost everything that Avery says because I think that this is the year that the Mariners are going to take control
Wow.
of the Astros going down. Okay. And okay, how about we do this? Since we're both doing the Mariners, let's do a tie break. Who's finishing second in the division? So who do you think,
Okay.
Scott, before I start, who do you think's finishing second?
The Angels. No.
Yes,
Uh,
write that down.
I bet we probably had the same order of for the division. I
So,
got the range. I was so close to picking the Rangers to win the division. It was like a last minute flip
okay.
that
Okay,
I
well
went with
then
the
my
Mariners.
tiebreak will be the Astros finishing second. So you can go ahead and run
Really?
it down. Right, because like I said, I'm a little skeptical. I think that the Rangers are gonna give us hell, but I think they're gonna fall off a cliff at some point. I hate to say it for that team. But the Mariners, back to the Mariners. They're winning the AL West. Fangraphs gives us a 35.7% chance. That's awesome, man. Let's just frame that and let's just not watch any of the games. But yeah, this is awesome. I think that the stars are aligning. I'm very hopelessly optimistic. But I know that the Mariners' approach is going to be if something is broken by the deadline, they're going to go and fix it. And we know
Yep.
that that's what's going to happen. So I think the Mariners are going to start off hot. We're going to be playing a lot of divisional opponents. So we're going to kind of get some early, test the waters. But yeah, I'm ecstatic. I hope George Kirby gets well soon. But I think we're going to do just fine. And we were healthy. And I think we're going to be awesome. I mean, Fangraphs projects 85. You project 95. I'm going to go ahead and just
That's top end. That's top end.
top
I'm
it.
guessing about 90. We're gonna go 90 and 72, and we'll
Let's
clip the
go
Rangers
ahead
by a
and
game.
say, for me, we were 90 and 72 when we made the playoffs. Go ahead. We're going to sprinkle a little 93. 93 game.
Dang.
Low
92
end,
and
I totally think
69.
like 89. But yeah, that's who I got win the West. And Houston, my rationale for putting them second is, like I said, I mean, their roster might not be the best, but they have a culture. They know how to win.
Mhm.
And their GM, although it's removed, knows how to add. I mean, he knows how to add, whether it's right or wrong. Josh Hader, wrong. Like Jose Abreu, wrong. But he knows where to add, and I think that he'll be pretty serious with what's going on. Cam Smith, I'm also high on. So wherever the
Mhm.
hell he plays and whoever the hell plays second base, they're going to figure it out.
How about for the tiebreaker, we just do our win total, our record, and
Okay,
then
so
whoever gets
fine, fine.
closest.
Yeah, win total.
I got
So,
90 and you got 93. Is that what you
yep.
said?
Hmm.
Perfect. Awesome. All right.
All right, Central.
AL Central. I hate the Central. I hate both Centrals.
I hate
At
Central.
least the
I
NL
hate the
Central
AL
is
Central.
interesting, but the AL Central is basically the AFC South of
I
baseball. It's
hate the
crazy.
AL Central. So
I got I don't even like it, but I got the Guardians winning the division. They just seem to know how to do it. I don't
they
trust
know
any
how
of the
to
other
do it.
teams. They do. They're like the Brewers essentially. They just kind of do it. Without they're greater than the sum of their parts, which is pretty inspiring. But I'll just go with Cleveland. They'll just pitch. They'll just pitch. They brought in Nolan Jones a couple days ago. Big fan of Nolan Jones. They
Reacquired
traded
Nolan Jones.
reacquired. Yeah, and with the changes that they made to the stadium that allowed it to be like a hitter-friendly ballpark
What did they
last
do?
year, they opened up the stadium in the right, so they created like a
Oh,
power alley, so like the wind can go through the stadium
got
that
it.
way, out to right, and Stephen Kwan had just a breakout year hitting power wise and everything. So um, I would love if Nolan Jones was able to do it. It'd be great for my dynasty team as well. So
Cool.
that'd be sick. That'd be sick. So I got Cleveland. I got them winning like 87 games just
We're not
in a
going to need the
gross
tiebreak.
fashion.
We're not going to need the tiebreak because I'm not buying into the Guardians this year. I will point out before I say my pick, I'm looking at the Fangraphs things right now, and everybody has a percentage mark to at least make the playoffs. Okay, like the Angels, your Angels Anaheim, they have an 11% chance. The White Sox literally have a 0.1% chance to make the playoffs, which
That's
I
sick.
understand they're the worst team in the majors, but that's crazy. Okay, my pick to win,
It's too high.
yeah, my pick to win the AL Central is going to be your Kansas City Royals, and I'll tell you why. Bobby Witt
Bobby
and
Witt.
notes. No, but they got Pasquantino coming back. Their rotation surprised me about how they performed. I thought like signing Lugo and Walker, I'm like lame, but they actually really surprised me. I think they're a complete team. I think the vibes are there. But the most important thing you got to remember about the Royals is the Royals are ready to add. They're ready to add at a reasonable price, but I feel like if they're there at the deadline, they're going to go crazy. They're going to go buy somebody absolutely insane, whoever it may be at the market. They were in on Randy Arozarena. They were in on a couple other just kind of mid-tier names, but I think that they're going to go ahead and say, listen, our time is now, our window is now. Now, the Twins, they look like the most complete team because they have the same argument as Texas. We're healthy. No one's going to stop us when we're healthy. But the fact of the matter is, they're up for sale right now. Their ownership is not going to want to add anything past the opening day roster that's not internal. And they're just going to say, let's see what we got with this window. Let's see what we got with Carlos Correa. We're just that's going to be it. So they're going to be stagnant. They're probably going to finish
And
second.
Royce Lewis, didn't
Yeah,
he just get hurt? Like
hamstring. Yeah, bro's
it's
hamstring
already started.
is dental floss. It's dental floss
Yeah.
and hamstrings. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very high on the Royals. I like their vibes. Young team. Jack Coleone is another guy like Nick Kurtz, where it's
Oh
like
gosh.
he could be up here. and he could
Better
become
than Nick Hurts, in my opinion. Like, I don't
right.
even know if it's just my opinion, but yeah,
Right.
Caglione, he's playing baseball for the Royals this year. You can
At some
book that
point,
one.
yes, correct. All right, let's move to the AL East.
The AL East, it's kind of a bad division,
You think
which is
so?
so weird. It's interesting, but it's kind of bad. It's not what you like. Honestly, I think the most competitive division this year could be the AL West, which is pretty sick. But
Lame.
I got Baltimore winning the division. I think it's not even really close, in my opinion. They're just the cream of the crop, and unlike Minnesota, they're just gonna do it. They're just gonna be way better than everybody else in most fashions. Um, Gunnar Henderson is just gonna lead the way, and their pitching staff. I know they lost Corbin Burns, but I guess Grayson Rodriguez got hurt, so their pitching staff might be a little iffy, but they're open
Tomayuki
to adding.
Sagano. Tomayuki Sagano.
Hey, that'd be cool. Hey,
He's
if
there.
he
He's
performs,
ready to
he's
go.
there. He exists. But I think their lineup is just going to be overwhelming. They're just going to overwhelm everybody. New York's going to take a step back. Toronto, they've been so underwhelming for years now. Tampa Bay, they took a massive step back last year, and I don't see them really being at least a division contender this year, maybe next year. I've always liked Boston. I like their roster. I like the moves that they make. Adding Garrett Crochet was massive, but uh, they're not. I don't know if they're as deep as they need to be. If their prospects, if their two prospects can come up and be huge contributors, then sure they can make a run for the division. But right now, I don't really see anyone other than Baltimore.
Cool. Well, I gotta kind of contrast your opinion about the AL East. I think it's one of the stronger divisions in baseball, just because on paper, you go ahead and look at everybody but the Rays on paper, and you're like, damn, this is a good team. Like you said, though, I mean, the Blue Jays are kind of mediocrity. They will be a thorn in the Mariners' side when you're looking at standings for the wild card if we're chasing the wild card. It's just going to be a really competitive division because those middle guys of that division are going to beat up on each other. They know how to do it. The Orioles were going to be my pick, but I'm going to go ahead and pivot because I don't want another tiebreak because it was really a toss-up for me. The Yankees are going to go ahead and win the AL East.
Wow.
The Yankees got better. They got better letting Juan Soto walk. Well, they didn't
Did
let him.
they?
They did. They did. They got Paul Goldschmidt, right? And he's not, I cannot believe I just led with him. But they got Paul Goldschmidt. Okay.
Yeah.
Hear me out. He's going to hit very well in Yankee Stadium. He's got a vet presence for that lineup. A full season of Jazz Chisholm at the correct position of second base is going to be a lot better than at third base. But here's the difference maker. Cody Bellinger in center is literally going to propel their lineup to where it's supposed to
Hmm.
be. He was born to be a Yankee. His dad literally played for the Yankees. He's going to love hitting at that ballpark. He's going to be right on par production wise. They got a couple question marks about who's going to really be the DH. Austin Wells is leading off, and it's like, what the hell? But you have Volpe. You just got the guys. The rotation took a huge hit with Garrett Cole being out for the year. I mean, that just sucks. But you got guys like Freed, and you got guys like Rodon, and you got Cookie Carrasco being a reclamation project. You got Luis Gail, who will be back in May, and he will produce. He was leading
Hmm.
the AL Rookie of the Year for a long time. And you have Marcus Stroman, who says he's a starter and hates playing for the Yankees, but he is a Yankee. Their bullpen is Luke Weaver, which pisses me off because I wanted Luke Weaver to work in Seattle. But Devin Williams, they got better,
Yeah.
dude. They got better at a fraction of the cost of Soto. And I mean, that's a different discussion for a different day. But like, in my opinion, Baltimore's there. They're young. They got a good manager, but the Yankees are the Yankees, and they were so close to winning a World Series that they're going to be right back on par. So my pick to win the AL East is your New York Yankees.
Your okay.
I said your Kansas City
Your New
Royals
York
too, and you
Yankees.
had no problem with it.
I
So
love we love Kansas City in
I
all
don't like
facets.
playing Kansas City. I don't.
I don't care if you don't like it, but they're an awesome team.
I don't
I,
like
I
playing them.
I was gonna pull out my Royals hat and put it on, but I couldn't find it. I could also pull out my Cody Bellinger jersey. I was
Right?
also thinking about doing that. I should go put both of those on. Um,
Okay.
all right.
So should
Well,
we
that
just
does it.
skip the
Oh,
NL West? I mean,
well, we should. We'll pick our AL West champion right now since we just did the or AL champion.
oh, AL, right? Correct.
Yeah. And then we'll move on to the NL. So, we'll skip the wild cards. That could be anybody. There's so many teams in the race. It's whatever. But I got in the World Series this year, mind you, I picked the Mariners, Guardians, and Orioles to win their divisions. In the World Series this year, I got the Mariners, baby. The Mariners. We're gonna be the first team, we're gonna be the last team to make the World Series. Finally. Finally. It's happened on the backs of our pitching staff and on the backs of Julio and
That's
Mitch Garver.
okay. Well, that's crazy. My expectation for the Mariners is definitely the ALCS, but I just don't know if we're gonna get over that hump.
Like
Um,
I said, the I think the AL is really bad.
it
Outside
is.
of like Baltimore
Yes.
and like an upstart team, like there's no excuse for a team to bully you other than maybe Baltimore.
Right. Which goes right into my AL championship pick. They're not winning the division, but they're going to be winning the American League. The Baltimore Orioles are going to be your American League champions.
Wow.
They're not going to lose out of the division by that much. It's probably going to be a couple games, maybe a bad series by Baltimore. Maybe somebody gets hurt, but they're young. They haven't won a fucking playoff game with this team, with this core. They got swept by Texas. They got swept last year. But I think they're going to buy at the deadline, starting pitching wise. And I think they're just all in. And I think that they're a great team. And I think they're going to get hot at the right time, kind of have a Diamondbacks run to the World Series. And yeah, I mean, although they're not winning the East, they're going to match up with the Mariners pretty well. And unfortunately, I think that's where the Mariners' demise is going to end once we get through the wild card. But yeah, Baltimore Orioles World Series, book it. Not,
All
wait,
right.
wait, sorry. American League champions book it.
Oh.
Just American League.
Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on to the NL. NL West. Well, let's just say it on three, okay? One,
One,
two,
two,
three.
three. Rockies.
Dodgers.
Nah.
Whoa!
Rockies,
They
who
lost
also
Nolan
have a
Jones.
0.1% chance. Jesus. No, Dodgers for
That's
sure. There's not even really
yeah,
much to talk about there. I mean, other than we're not getting into the wild card discussion, but the Diamondbacks and Padres should be there in the playoffs. So,
yeah.
yep, Central time. Time to go to the Central.
I think Shohei Ohtani is a good player. I think Mookie Betts is a good player. I think Freddie Freeman's a good player. I think I
Great
think they got a
analysis
couple good
there.
players. Um, I get the only discussion here is how many games are they gonna win? Like,
Not 116. Their
I don't
division's
know if
too good for that.
what if Shohei comes back to the mound earlier than we think, and he's really good? And then what if Roki is who we think Roki could be for like 75% of the year? Are they threatening? Are they
110,
threatening the
not
116
116,
wins?
not 110.
Wow. Okay. I'll think they're I'll actually go a little. You're going 110. I'm gonna go 105. A little bit safer bet. Maybe they'll get out to a slow start, even though they just swept to start the season. They already got a head start on everybody. But all right, that was easy. Moving on, unless you have anything else you want to say
Nope,
about this Dodgers team.
nope. Feel bad for the Giants and Rockies. Next,
NL Central, very fun pick here. I'm a huge fan of this team this year. Give me the Cubs. Give me the Cubs. Give me Kyle Tucker to have a breakout year, or not a breakout year, but a full year of MVP level play. He could he could win the MVP this year. That'd be sick.
be take a
Or at
lot,
least
but
it'll take a lot, but I do really like the Cubs and the division again.
it's
A lot
bad.
of divisions suck this year, I think.
It's bad. But
Um,
the bottom end of this division is teams that you want to do good, like you want to root for. You want to root for Terry Francona and the Reds. You want to root for Paul Skeens and the Pirates. But they're just not there. They're not even close.
Yeah, they're not there yet, but they're so fun. They're so fun. I would compare them a little bit to like the Kansas City and Detroit in the AL Central. It's like they're not. I don't personally. I don't think they're there yet, but they're so fun. And they got some elite players that you could watch every day that could win a Cy Young or an MVP, and and you're just gonna have a great time. And who knows? Maybe you get hot and you'll contend. Maybe Chicago isn't as good as we think, but right now they're the only like good team, like really good team.
Right? No, and I agree. I think that's what's going right into my pick. I think the Cubs are going to win the Central. I think that there's a lot of pieces there. The Brewers are kind of like the Astros in my opinion. I'm always like, dude, how are they winning the division? This is it for them. Like they peaked when they almost made the World Series against the Dodgers, in the NLCS Game 7. They just don't got it this year. They don't, but not anybody in the Central really does. I'm a big fan of Shota Imanaga. I think that, the Cubs adding Kyle Tucker and losing Cody Bellinger, I think you upgraded there as much as I'm high on Cody Bellinger. Matt Shaw is supposed to be good. He looked like absolute shit in Japan, but he'll do fine. Michael Bush was pretty good last year. And you got Dansby and you just got the vibes. You got good vibes going with the Cubs. You got Justin Steele. You got plenty of guys that are going to win you that division. You got enough. For when I look at the Brewers, it's like, yeah, Yelich bounced back. Their rotation maybe is better. But I just don't think they have it. As far as the Cubs win total for our tiebreaker, I think they're going to win 87 games. They're projected
Okay.
right now to just be over 500 and win the division, which would be absolutely disgusting if a team won a division at 82 wins. So I'm not going to let them stoop that low. We're going to go ahead and put them at 87.
I think they'll be. I think that's fair. I feel like it's a little low for them. I mean, somebody has to like that. If that division is going to be bad, granted,
Yeah,
Pittsburgh and Cincinnati could surprise us and flirt with
right.
81 wins or something. But
Mhm.
I got. I'll probably similar fashion with the Mariners. I'll go 89. Just solid,
Mhm.
solid season. You're a good team. You beat up on the teams that you're supposed to.
All right, absolutely. And if you're a betting man, definitely bet the Cubs over
Yeah.
the total, the win total. They've overachieved their win total the past 2 years. I've been high on this team, and they're really bouncing back well from their World Series window. So
hmm If they end up winning the division at 88 wins, what the heck happens there? Should
yeah, I don't know. We just cut our arms off.
All right, that's fair. NL East. I have This is a very interesting division. There's three teams that could realistically win it.
Right,
And then
Marlins and Nationals.
there's two teams that are really bad. I do like the Nationals a lot. They're another one of those really fun teams,
James
but
Wood,
yeah, Dylan Cruz question mark.
meh.
But yeah, three really good teams that have their own strengths. I know people are hot on New York right now. I mean, obviously, when you add Juan Soto, you're gonna just add a couple wins to whatever you won last year. But it's really came down to Atlanta and Philadelphia for me. I'm really high on Philadelphia. I feel like they've underperformed what they should have been doing the last few years, and I think this is the year that they get it done. I think they go out and have a really good season this year, and Philadelphia wins the division.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I feel like we're kind of on the same wavelength here. The Mets are going to potentially compete for the playoffs. I don't think that they are enough of a core yet. The Braves and Phillies aren't coming down enough for the Mets to skyrocket over them, even though you got Juan Soto. They're just not a complete team for me. They're still going to be a great team. It's going to be fun to root for the Mets, in my opinion. The Phillies and Braves, the Braves kind of have some holes. They're just not healthy. And it's gonna be a dogfight the whole year of who's really gonna be competing in the NL East. I like the Phillies. I do. I think they're built well. Their
Wow.
lineup is solid 1 through 9. Their rotation is pretty good, 1 through 4, maybe even 5. Their bullpen, is pretty decent. And I mean, it's not going to be easy, but Philly's going to do it this year. I'm going to go ahead and put them at 95 wins. I think they're going to beat up on the Braves a
Oh,
little bit. They're going to beat up on the Braves a little bit.
beat up on the Braves.
I think they will. The
Holy
Braves aren't the
cow.
Braves aren't healthy yet. They're not healthy. They're going to jump out.
That's wild.
The Philly's going to be in the lead early on and almost never get it back. It's going to be close, but they're never going to get it back. Braves are winning 92.
Jared Kelnick.
Braves are winning
Jared Kelnick's gonna
92, and the Phillies are going to win 95. Okay. Everyone in the NL
wow.
East has to play the NL Central. Full disclosure.
Holy cow. I mean, they're gonna I feel like just everyone's gonna have to beat up on each other enough to keep all the win totals down, even though the Marlins exist. But um I'll go so you go with 95. That seems pretty high for me. I think in a scenario where the Phillies win the division, it's gonna take like them kind of lucking into 92 wins and they go 92 and 70 and they're like they win the division by 1 over the Braves and by 2 over the Mets. It's just going to be really hotly contested down the stretch. Probably all three could get into the playoffs with the wild cards, and it'll be a really fun watch this season. So I got 92 wins, you got 95.
Sure.
A lot of similar picks this year. I mean, we picked the entire NL the same, which is
Yeah,
great
it's
for
like we're friends
content.
or something. I mean,
I thought I was gonna.
do we even need to talk about who's winning the NL?
Um.
Instead, let's talk about who's going to give them the most challenge. How about?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we both got the Dodgers in the World Series. So, the thing about the playoffs, luckily, is that it is kind of a dice roll. So you could easily kind of just run into a buzzsaw, like if the Phillies are super hot or the Cubs or whoever, and the Dodgers are kind of scuffling. Maybe they're dealing with some injuries, and you can win. You could lose in the divisional round, even if you're the best team. I mean,
For sure.
Mariners. So,
For sure.
but I think the Phillies would give them the toughest. Whoever comes out of the NL East would give them the toughest challenge. Personally, I think it's the Phillies. They're just gonna pitch them to death, and Bryce Harper is the most clutch player I might have ever seen. So
In
if you give me a
Philadelphia, he was
Phillies,
not in Washington.
yeah, gee, whatever. But you give me a Phillies Dodgers playoff series, oh my gosh, I will
Right.
be in heaven.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you there. I think the Phillies are going to be good, and they're going to give the Dodgers hell. Personally, I think it's going to be more of the wild card ranks. So, like, I wanted to say Padres, wanted to say Diamondbacks. I'm like, you know what? No, they play each other 13 times a year. No, the Mets are going to give them hell. The Mets are going to get in here and they're going to win their wild card series. They're going to be a low seed. They're going to go and play the Dodgers in the divisional series, and they're going to take them to 5 games. Just because that is what the Mets are going to do. It's going to build their aura going into next year, but Juan Soto's going to
Aura
give him hell. And
Juan
their pitching
Soto.
staff, their lineup, it's just going to be like, how the hell is Starling Marte walking off in the NLDS? But it's going to happen. Book it. But it's not
Jared
going to say
Kelnick.
that they're going to be even close to be upsetting the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are obviously my pick to win the NL. It's your pick to win the NL. But I just think the wild card teams have a lot more momentum in the playoffs than division winners. The division winners like to bitch about having a break. The best thing about it is they get a break for their pitching, but they like to bitch and say that momentum is way better. So guess what? Why even have the system then? If you why even try to win the division? Would just be a wild card team. But the wild card team will give the Dodgers hell. I think they're going to struggle in the NLDS and then finish the job in the
Yeah,
end.
they'll
Kind of
only
suck.
win in they'll only win in four.
Right, right.
Like okay,
You
so we
got
got
Mariners, Dodgers, and Orioles, Dodgers. That's crazy. Don't
yeah,
tell me that you're like, this is it, right? You're
the
thinking,
Mariners. What you said about the Mets, the Mariners are gonna do out on the biggest stage. They are gonna give them so much hell, so much so that the Mariners are gonna win one game, so much
okay,
that we're gonna get one dub, and
Dodgers
oh,
and
they're gonna be
Bucks.
so mad that they didn't sweep the lowly Mariners. Oh, that's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so sweet. We're Dodgers in five.
Okay. I think Dodgers in 6 for the Orioles. I think they're going to be a little bit stronger. than what the Mariners. I can't even picture what the Mariners lineup right now would be against the
That'd be
Dodgers in the World Series. But
it's
I
just a
think
really
that
funny.
you're right.
You put the two lineups next to each
It's
other for
hydrogen
game
bomb
one.
versus coughing baby. That's what it is, literally. So, uh, the Orioles, for sure, they got a more complete lineup. The pitching is going to get to
Mhm.
them, though. They're going to have a guy probably pitch twice in that series and be like, I can't go anymore. So yeah, I think Dodgers in six. I think the Dodgers probably going to just slip up and beat themselves one game, and then I just think that's the best matchup. I mean, they're probably going to be in the World Series for the next 3, 4 years, pending anything crazy. So the Dodgers are going to go back to back. The question is they're going to three-peat. We already know in professional sports, three-peating doesn't work out as well in the NFL. But yeah, so that's that.
Give me the AL Rookie of the Year.
The AL Rookie of the Year will be Christian Campbell, Boston. I think he's going to
Wow.
break camp, or if he's not breaking camp, he's going in May. And he's going to be around a great lineup. And he's got great intangibles. I mean, you're going to have Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony also taken away from the hype. But Jason Dominguez is like Ben Simmons on this list. Get him off this damn list. He's like 28.
Ben Simmons.
I mean, Ben Simmons won Rookie of the Year his second year in the NBA. That's just fair, and that's coming from a Philly basketball fan. But I want to say Christian Moore really, really bad, but Christian Moore can hit home runs, and there's not going to be anybody on base. Christian
True.
Campbell's going to have an F where he's going to have a nice, complete offensive season. He's going to play well at second base because Rafael Devers is going to suck it up and be a DH because he knows it's what's going to take to get to the playoffs. And I think, yeah, Christian Campbell.
That's a fun pick. I like that. That'd be really
Fun
cool
pick. He's
if it
second in the
happened.
odds.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. I got not fun pick for the Mariners, but I think it's a fun pick overall. I got Cam Smith winning the Rookie of the Year. I know. I just think that the Astros have a little bit of magic left in them, and Cam Smith will be like the last guy that they develop, or I guess they didn't develop him. The last guy that they bring in to really just kind of stick it to everybody else. Kind of like
They
I don't know,
developed him
just
for
like
2 months.
just like a big FU as they exit the scene and it's not their division anymore.
Right.
Uh, I think I think if things go well, he's gonna hit a lot of home runs there in Houston, and he's just gonna be really good. I don't really see him being that bad. I don't really see that low of a floor with him. So Cam Smith, I'll take the points, but it would be tough if that actually came to fruition.
Yeah, that'd be kind of unfortunate, but I can see it. He's a good guy. He's a great story. I just have to roll my eyes
Yeah.
because he's in the Space City uniforms. But okay, NL Rookie of the Year. I'm gonna go with an outsider pick. I'm looking at the odds right now. Obviously, Roki is favored, and then you have Dylan Cruz, who I'm not too high on based on his minor league production. He just hasn't really been that good in the minors, and the Nationals are just kind of putting him there because why not? You guys suck.
Why
And
not?
then you have Matt Shaw, who I'm like, you know, we're rooting for the Cubs. He's just a guy that I'm a little worried if he's going to find his footing as a Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to be a serviceable guy in their lineup. Then you got Bubba Chandler, who like Bubba Chandler's going to have the Paul Skeens arc. He'll be up in June, and he'll be right next to Paul, and they're going to do well. Both college, prospects, and he told Paul, enjoy having the opening day start because it's going to be me next year. So I'm like, you got two dogs in that rotation, so that's fun. But my pick is going to be Jordan Lawler, shortstop
Wow.
of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Sorry, I blanked on that. But I just think that it's long overdue. He's been at the top of these prospect lists for long enough. They're going to make it work at some point. Ketel Marte could play anywhere in the field. Jordan Lawler could play second. Geraldo Perdomo can play second. He's going to find his way. And similar to Christian Campbell, he's got a great lineup around him to produce some really nice numbers offensively. He's got some pop. He hits the ball well. He's pretty plus defender. He's just been crowded. There hasn't been an opportunity for him to break. So whether it's via an injury or just a position reassignment, he's going to play on the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are going to be fun to watch this year, and he's going to really produce at a high level, Rookie of the Year level.
I like that. That'd be really cool. The MLB is better when the Diamondbacks are doing fun
Sure,
things. So
sure.
that's awesome. My NL pick, you just shit all over him, which is awesome. But Dylan Cruz, I wasn't really happy with my options. If James Wood didn't lose his status last year, I would have picked him.
James Wood
But
loses the status, but Jason to me, whatever. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know. He wasn't. He didn't. I don't know if did he lose his status? Because I'll change my pick. But
No, I'm not seeing him on here. So yeah, no, he didn't lose.
okay, sweet. Yeah, Dylan Cruz. He's just kind of like a five-tool guy, and if things like he's Corbin Carroll essentially. He's really fast. He doesn't play as good defense as you would think, um, but he plays it good enough. And he's got some pop in his bat. Like he's projected around 15 homers this year. He's projected around 25 stolen bases. I always think that these stolen base numbers are going to be higher than you would think. Um, so a 35 stolen base season would be awesome. 20 home runs. If he gets like a 20-30 season going, I don't know how you don't win the
Right.
rookie of the year.
No, for sure.
So, and
And
he's
he's
going
gonna
to
have a
play every
lot of
day.
leverage at bats in that Nationals lineup. So I
Yeah,
get
they're going to
it.
lean on him.
I get it. And he's a polished college prospect. He just struck out a ton in the minors. But I don't, like I said, not trying to shit on your pick. I appreciate, I acknowledge it. I
He
think,
struck out. He struck out a lot this spring training. But like last year, for whatever reason, in his 31 games at the major league level last year, it was like his lowest strikeout rate.
hmm.
Uh, it was weird. It was at 9. It was at 20%, which isn't not, but really isn't that bad. And he walks an uh, okay number, and he hits for an okay enough average. So I think he'll be sticking around. Playing time is a big issue here with a lot of these prospects
And
when it
he's
comes to
not
rookie
going
of
to
the
have
year. So
like that. Nope. Yeah, I get that. All right. Well, shifting over to Cy Young, we're going to go to American League. American League Cy Young, I got such a value pick for you guys. You might as well call us a betting podcast because I seriously am so high on this and I cannot believe that he is down on this list. Max Fried is going to win the Cy Young. He's
wow.
the new ace of New York now that Garrett Cole is gone, and he is going to shove. He is absolutely killing it in spring training. He fits the Yankee mold. He wants to be here. Sign that big contract. It's going to pay dividends year one. It's going to help them win the AL East. So look out for him. Might even lead the league in strikeouts as well.
Holy cow. That's a bold prediction. That's a very bold prediction. In that division, though,
Yes, it'll be fine.
he'll be fine. See,
No,
I wanted to do a fun pick, but like I couldn't. I wasn't allowed to do a fun pick because Tariq Skubal pitches in the AL Central.
you're going to
So like
back to back Cy Youngs?
back to back. If he stays healthy, he's winning the Cy Young. He pitches in the AL Central. Like
Yeah,
it's just a freebie half the season essentially. Like, oh, here's 7 innings of shutout baseball every freaking time you go out there.
yeah,
And he's shoving this spring training as well. He's got a strikeout rate over 11 per nine and less than a half a strikeout per nine. He's just striking everybody out. It's awesome. So it's really as simple as he's pitching in the AL Central and he's the best pitcher in baseball. So
yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it's just interesting. I mean, back to
it's
back.
boring,
No,
but
I mean, it's not boring. It's just, for me, it's a hard feat. I mean, I like Tariq Skubal. He's a Seattle product.
yep.
He's fun to root for. He's a lefty. So it's like, damn, he's a pretty dominant lefty, but he just plays in a terrible division. We're going
Hmm.
to see him likely in his second start against Detroit, which kind of sucks ass. But all right, NL Cy Young, I really, really, really want to go Paul Skeens because I just want to buy into the hype. I want to buy into it. But unfortunately, I will not. The reason he'll be a finalist is because of his usage rate. They're going to want to pitch him deep into games and pending injury. You know, he's going to put up some numbers. But my pick for NL Cy Young is going to be Dylan Cease. And Dylan Cease is another guy who had a great spring. He's got the beard growing. I'm not liking it, but it's he's got the beard growing. He's really going to be the Padres' ace. And he's got Michael King to kind of offload as well. It's a great one-two punch. For some reason, the Padres tried to trade both of them because they know they're not going to get him long term. But Dylan, another strikeout pitcher, really dominant, and he pitches in the NL West. So I mean, yeah, the Dodgers are going to hurt his stats a little bit. The Diamondbacks might hit him around a little bit, but you get to pitch against the Giants and the Rockies a lot of the time. You get to pitch against the NL Central some of the time. And I think he's going to do just fine. I think he's really going to take command of that ace role in San Diego, and he's going to help San Diego get to the playoffs. He's going to be one of the main factors. I think he's going to win Cy Young
That's awesome. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool if he won the Cy Young.
for sure.
Unfortunately, for the same reason as I picked Turk Skubal, Paul Skeens is just gonna win the Cy Young this
You're not
year.
going to
I
pick
know
Chris
he's
Sale,
favorited.
two back-to-backs?
No, he pitches in the NL East, man. Like I think division has a lot to do with this, at least for me.
Yeah,
Paul
makes sense.
Skeens, man, he's I know the line the schedule changes where you play against your division opponents a little bit less than normal, but still, uh, gosh, he's just elite in every facet of the game, and he added like a cutter this year that looks nasty.
Mm,
Oh my gosh, and he's pitching really well in spring training again. Man, he could have won it last year in only 133 innings. That's how good he was.
right.
So if we can get a little bit closer to a full season. I know they probably don't want to throw him 220 innings, but if he can throw 180, he's got to win the Cy Young, in my opinion. The division is weak enough, and if he avoids the Dodgers, he'll
Yeah,
be fine. I
right.
think
No,
he's
I
just
get
so
it.
good.
I want to buy into the hype, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's a fun story to watch. I'd hate to see him injured. I really hope he kind of chills out throwing 100 in the seventh inning, but it's really electric. I just want to point one thing out before we leave, and I really appreciate anybody who watched this episode in its entirety. Maybe you're watching it to fall asleep, who knows? But I will say to end the podcast, looking at this betting line, you see probably one to two players on the same team for these Cy Young odds, and every single one of the Mariners' rotation is in this betting
That's
odds.
awesome.
So you
I
got
was
Bryce Miller and Bryce and Brian plus 3,500. And then you have Luis Castillo plus 2,500. Then you have George Kirby, who's not even playing his first two starts, plus 2,200. And then you have Logan Gilbert, the favorite of our rotation, the ace, Logan Gilbert, plus 1,400. And he ranks fifth overall in Cy Young odds behind Jacob DeGrom. Why? Cole Ragans, I understand. Crochet and Scooble, your pick. So it's just really cool to see. And I really hope that
that's awesome.
I have nightmares about regression. So,
I was this close to just saying screw it and taking Brian Wu for the my
wow,
Cy Young pick.
for
If
fun.
we were doing dark horses, I would have taken Brian Wu.
For fun.
Gosh, I flip flopped thinking Bryce Miller's better, Brian Wu's better, but I hard stance. Brian Wu is maybe our best pitcher.
Could be, but that's a conversation for another day. So thank you guys for listening to this podcast. I appreciate it. We're going to be back. We're going to be recording at the end of this homestand, so we're going to be posting on the off days. We're going to try that schedule out, see how it goes. But happy opening day, everybody. Go Mariners, and let's have a great season, man. First season of the podcast.
Heck yeah. See ya then. I'll let you know. I'll let you know my
Yes,
experience on
he's going to be
opening
there.
day.
Some
I'll
listeners
be
are
there.
asking if he bought the tickets. He is there. So go meet him. 206 Curry
Yeah, meet me section 331, row 4. I'll throw
Wow.
myself out there and I'll try some of the new food and I'll get back to you on the pod.
Awesome. All right. See you later.